Yate Namah Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God Incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been studying Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, the topic Spiritual Treasures of Sri Ramakrishna. In serial, we are discussing the same topic. Today is the last of this serial. Sri Ramakrishna says pure love is very well received by God. A person who is able to love in the purest way will have the vision of God. Chaitanya Dev, a great incarnation and a great devotee of Lord Krishna, he roamed all over the India, visiting temples, singing bhajans, talking to people about the greatness of God, and so on. Once, when he was in the southern part of India, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw a strange thing. He saw a devotee who was sitting with hands folded, a smile on his lips and tears in his eyes, while a Pandit was reading verses from the Gita. This man was actually enjoying immensely the reading of the Gita by the Pandit. People around noticed this, and how is it? It is very strange that an ordinary man, an illiterate person who doesn't even know a single word of Sanskrit, should feel moved to tears by the thought in the Gita. So all the eyes of the people were focused on this particular devotee. Then he was questioned. The devotee replied, first he accepted, it is indeed true that I don't know a single word of the Gita. But all the while it was being read, I could not help seeing with my inner eye the beautiful form of my Lord Krishna seated before Arjun in a chariot in the field of Kurukshetra, giving out all those great messages of how to live one's life. I saw all of that with my inner eye, and it made my eyes fill with tears of joy and love. People who heard this understood that this devotee was indeed a great bhakta of God and did not need to read the message of love. He could see it all with his inner eye. The point is, he was extremely simple, and mind was not tainted with impurities, and so he could have the experience of this wonderful vision. Another incident Sri Ramakrishna tells in the Gospel. A young man lived in a small village. One day a monk happened to pass by the village. The young man humbly begged him for instruction. The monk's instruction was, love God with all your heart and soul. That's all the instruction he gave. The young man replied, Sir, I have never seen God or met him. At best, I have just heard vaguely of and about him. How is it possible for someone like me to love him? It's a very good question. The holy man then inquired from the young man who he loved the most in this world. And the young man answered, I have nobody to care for, I have no family, and friends are few, but I have a sheep, and that is the only creature I can say that I really love in this world. Then immediately the monk said, well, now then care for your sheep and love it with all your heart and soul. Now you must give spiritual orientation to your attitudes. Always remember that the Divine Lord abides in sheep. Saying so, the monk left the village and the young man's life changed forever. He began to tend the sheep with loving care, fully believing that the Lord lives in the sheep. When he fed the sheep, he thought he was offering food to the Lord. When he gave his sheep water, he thought he was quenching the thirst of God. And when he pet his sheep, he believed he was loving God. Thus, each act of service for the sheep turned into an act of prayer. Each action that was directed towards the sheep became directed to God because he sincerely believed that God actually resided within his sheep. After a long time, the sadhu happened to cross the same village again. Though many years had elapsed, he sought out the young man he had advised to inquire how he was getting on. The simple-minded man saluted the monk and said, Master, I am really very thankful for your kind instruction. Much good has come to me by following the line of thought prescribed by you. Time and again, I see a beautiful figure with 4 hands within my sheep, and I find supreme bliss in that. And the monk was really very surprised to see such remarkable transformation in the life of this young man. It could happen because he was utterly simple and he believed the master's instructions and he followed it up meticulously. So he could have the vision of Lord Vishnu in the sheep. Pure love for God, that is what is most essential. And it is rare in this world. It is rare. All the love that you see in this world are tainted by selfishness. So, with that selfish love, one cannot really enjoy the experience of pure love. So, pure love requires that one desire nothing for oneself. A person who has awakened his pure love for God does not ask God for anything other than the privilege of serving Him. Pure devotees of God don't even worry about returning to the spiritual world because they are fully satisfied in serving God everywhere and anywhere. Loving God is our true nature. And in the transcendental happiness of that love, all the miseries of life disappear. Because God is supremely captivating. Loving Him is ever fresh. Pure love for God is so powerful that it conquers God Himself. As shown in God's relationships, revealed in the Vedic scriptures. In the intimacy of love, His devotees often tell Him what to do, and He spontaneously obliges. The devotee's heart is a drawing room of God's. He would manifest His glory through the devotee who is cherishing pure love towards Him. A pure devotee of God naturally has an ideal character because pure devotees love God completely. They love everything in His creation, understanding that it is dear to Him. They see all living beings in every species as children of God and strive not to harm them. In fact, they dedicate their lives to the welfare of all creatures by working for their spiritual awakening. Lord Krishna teaches in chapter 18, verse number 65, Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji man namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyante pratijane priyosi me. Here it's very amazing that Lord Krishna makes a promise here. He says how to get Him, how to experience the love of God. If we can just follow this verse, we can achieve the goal of our life in this life itself. Lord Krishna says in the verse, Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji man namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyante pratijane priyosi me. Lord Krishna says, do you know what you should do? Always think of me. Your action should be only to think of me. I take care of the rest. Then he says, become my devotee. Cherish avyabhicharani love, unadulterated love towards God. Fully focused on the divine glory of God. Worship me, Madhyaji, worship me. Lord Krishna is telling, by these acts He is supremely pleased. And these are the activities which should cherish in our day-to-day life. And then he says, Man namaskuru, Mam namaskuru, bow down to me. The meaning is, surrender yourself to me. By namaskar, we are doing sashtang namaskar, the whole body is placed at the feet of the Lord. That's the indication of total surrender. And feel you must be free from dirty ego. Every moment we are attacked by the demon, ego, ego, ego. Ego destroys everything. It takes different form. I am a spiritual being. I am coming to ashrama 30 years. I am close devotee, etc., etc. No. Your devotion to God is tested, how simple you are and how humble you are. There should not be any trace of ego raising its ugly head. But if you are aware of the negative effect of the ego, then you will be cautious. No sooner the ego comes, immediately take step to curb it. That's the idea. Then he says, then he promises, if you follow these instructions, you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my beloved. So Lord accepts such a person as his most dearest one. So, pure love can be defined as willingness to give without a thought of receiving anything in return. Don't expect anything: name, fame, power, position, attention, respect, reverence. Nothing. That is called as pure love. Then Sri Ramakrishna talks about omnipresence of God. That is, it tells that God is present in all living things. He has created all of us and the world around. The sun, the stars, the moon, the trees, flowers and the animals. They are all carrying on their activities because of the presence of God in every one of them. Since He has created us all, He also lives inside all of us. God is within us. We are within God. He also lives inside all of us, just like He lived inside the sheep. And there is the story of Ganesha and the cat. Although Ganeshji had mauled the cat, it was Parvatiji's body that bore all the pain, the scratches and the marks. When Ganesh troubled the cat, it was Parvatiji who got hurt. Similarly, we should all be aware of the fact that God is inside each one of us, inside every body and everything. If you know this idea, then you can definitely go forward in your spiritual journey. Then Sri Ramakrishna refers to the degree of concentration. Concentration plays a very important role in achieving success in meditation. Concentration leads to success. Concentration is power. If you read concentratedly a textbook, you understand all the things that are talked about in the text. So Sri Ramakrishna tells an anecdote. One afternoon there was a man sitting on a riverside fishing all by himself. All his attention was focused on trying to catch a fish. Finally, his patience paid off, and the float on the fishing rod, which indicates there is a fish on the rod, began to move. Every now and then its tip gently touched the water. The man was all quiet, concentrating, holding the rod tight in his hands, ready to pull it up. just at that moment. It is a very crucial moment. He cannot divert mind in any other way. Just at that moment, a stranger came near him and asked him, "Excuse me, sir, can you tell me where Mr. Banerjee lives?" There was no reply from the angler, who was concentrating on pulling up the rod. Again the stranger cleared his throat and asked him in a louder voice, "Excuse me, can you tell me where Mr. Banerjee lives?" He then came to the other side of the angler, thinking he must be deaf in one ear. But at the time, the angler was deaf to all the sounds around him, as his eyes were glued to the float. The stranger felt annoyed at receiving no response, and he did not like this ungentlemanly behavior, went away grumbling, full of anger. He just walked out. Just at that moment, the angler's float sank under water, and with one quick pull of the rod, he landed a big fish at the other end of the rod. At last, he relaxed his muscles, wiped his face, and called out to the stranger, who would not turn back, "Sir, please listen to me. Come back, come back." The angler shouted. After much shouting and calling in this way, the stranger retraced his steps and asked the angler why he was shouting. The angler said, "What were you asking me?" The stranger shouted angrily, "I repeated a question to you so many times, and now you are asking me to repeat it again." The angler replied, "I am sorry. When you spoke with me, I was concentrating so hard on the float which was about to sink that I didn't hear a word of what you said. Now that it's over and I have caught a fish, I would be very glad to help you." Saying so, the angler and the stranger made peace, and then the angler directed the stranger to Mr. Banerjee's house. So, what is concentration? It is the ability to focus the mind on a particular thing or activity and holding it there steadily without letting it wander. So this episode, the degree of concentration, teaches us how to concentrate. Mostly we are not able to concentrate because mind is dissipated in so many ways, and during the time, during every day, during our activities, we induct into the mind all sorts of things, and so they all come up and trouble you when you are meditating. So how can you concentrate? So keeping the mind in a tranquil position is very important. If you are focused on spiritual life, then you will be careful not to infect the mind with all dirty things of the world. Once the infection comes, very difficult to get rid of it. So prevention is better than cure. Don't allow any infection inside the mind. And that is possible, as Lord Krishna says, always think of me. When you sincerely, honestly, wholeheartedly, devoted way, if you think of him, then mind cannot be infected at all. Because all the time mind is thinking about the Lord. So like that, Sri Ramakrishna has given lots of instructions. They are all spiritual treasures. In Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna we find them, number of instructions, most valuable and practical in our life. What is needed is sincere practice. Are you sincere in your practice? You must ask that question every day when you get up from the bed. If you are sincere and loving God, then you must follow these instructions of Lord Krishna. Manmana bhava, madbhaktaha, madhyaji mam, namaskuru. If you follow these instructions, surely God Himself hurries to come to you and give the vision. Page 940. The ego of knowledge and the ego of devotion can do no harm. It is the wicked I that is harmful. After realizing God, a man becomes like a child. There is no harm in the ego of a child. It is like the reflection of a face in a mirror. The reflection cannot call names, or it is like a burnt rope which appears to be a rope but disappears at the slightest puff. The ego that has been burnt in the fire of knowledge cannot injure anybody. It is an ego only in name. Returning to the relative plane after reaching the absolute is like coming back to this shore of a river after going to the other side. Such a return to the relative plane is for the teaching of men and for enjoyment, participation in the divine sport in the Lord. Sri Ramakrishna was talking in a very low voice. Addressing the devotees, he said, the body is so ill, but the mind is free from avidya maya. Let me tell you, there is no thought in my mind of Ramlal or home or wife. But I have been worrying about Purna, that Kayastha boy. I am not in the least anxious about the others. It is God alone who has kept this Vidya Maya in me for the good of men, for the welfare of the devotees. But if one retains Vidya Maya, one comes back to this world. The avatars keep this Vidya Maya. So long as a man has even the slightest desire, he must be born again and again. When he gets rid of all desires, then he is liberated. But the bhaktas do not seek liberation. They love to serve. If a person dies in Benares, he attains liberation. He is not born again. Liberation is the goal of the Gyanis. Narendra said, the other day we went to visit Mahimacharan. Master asked her smilingly, well, Narendra said, I have never before met such a dry Jnani. Master said smilingly, what was the matter? Narendra said, he asked us to sing. Gangadhar sang, Radha is restored to life by hearing of Krishna's name. She looks about in front of her. She sees a tamala tree. On hearing this song, Mahimacharan said, why such songs here? I don't care for love and all that nonsense. Besides, I live here with my wife and children. Why all these songs here? Master said to him, do you see how afraid he is? Sri Ramakrishna sat facing the north in the large room upstairs. It was evening. He was very ill. Narendra and Lokal were gently massaging his feet. Yam sat nearby. The master by a sign asked him to stroke his feet. Yam obeyed. The previous Sunday, the devotees had observed Sri Ramakrishna's birthday with worship and prayer. His birthday the year before had been observed at Dakshineshwar with great pomp. But this year, on account of his illness, the devotees were very sad that there was no festivity at all. The Holy Mother busied herself day and night in the Master's service. Among the young disciples, Narendra, Rakal, Niranjan, Sharat, Shashi, Babu Ram, Jogin, Latu, and Kali had been staying with him at the garden house. The older devotees visited him daily, and some of them occasionally spent the night there. That day, Sri Ramakrishna was feeling very ill. At midnight, the moonlight flooded the garden, but it could wake no response in the devotees' hearts. They were drowned in a sea of grief. They felt that they were living in a beautiful city besieged by a hostile army. Perfect silence reigned everywhere. Nature was still, except for the gentle rustling of the leaves at the touch of the south wind. Sri Ramakrishna lay awake. One or two devotees sat near him in silence. At times he seemed to doze. Yam was seated by his side. Sri Ramakrishna asked him by a sign to come nearer. The sign of his suffering was unbearable. In a very soft voice and with great difficulty he said to Yam, I have gone on suffering so much for fear of making you all weep. But if you all say, oh, there is no much suffering, let the body die, then I may give up the body. These words pierced the devotees' hearts, and he who was their father, mother, and protector had uttered these words. What could they say? All sat in silence. Some thought, is this another crucifixion? The sacrifice of the body for the sake of the devotees? It was a dead of night. Sri Ramakrishna's illness was taking a turn for the worse. The devotees wondered what was to be done. One of them left for Calcutta. That very night, Girish came to the garden house with two physicians, Upendra and Navagopal. The devotees sat near the master. He felt a little better and said to them, the illness is of the body. That is as it should be. I see that the body is made of the five elements. Turning to Girish, he said, I am seeing many forms of God. Among them, I find this one also, meaning his own form. About 7 o'clock in the morning, Sri Ramakrishna felt a little better. He talked to the devotees, sometimes in a whisper, sometimes by signs. Narendra, Rakhal, Latu, M. Gopal, Absinti, and others were in the room. They sat speechless and looked grave, thinking of the master's suffering of the previous night. Master said to the devotees, do you know what I see right now? I see that it is God himself who has become all this. It seems to me that men and other living beings are made of leather, and that it is God himself who, dwelling inside these leather cases, moves the hands, the feet, the heads. I had a similar vision once before, when I saw houses, gardens, roads, men, cattle, all made of one substance. It was as if they were all made of wax. I shall stop here. Any questions to ask? They want to serve. They love to serve. Yeah. They love to serve. They don't want to get merged and get lost. Of course, the merging in the Paramatman is also experience of highest bliss. But some devotees cherish the desire to serve the humanity, to spread the glory of God. So they are like Ishwar Kotis. They love to come again and again, suffer for the sake of the people, to show them path towards God. That's the idea. Even though they serve all the beings, yet they have that clear vision of God himself dwelling in everyone. So, even while serving, they are all in ecstasy. They are not caught by the meshes of samsara. That's the beauty of that. They love to serve and they want to be like that. Yeah, that's true. Greatest devotee, greatest I should say. Nobody can equal Hanuman. Any other question? Manjusha Devi. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drowned deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name, that both are very souls. Various are thy names, O Lord. In each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy. How huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, his vast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Ah, how I long for the day when an instant separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere, may all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous reign tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all living beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.